institutional opening up, systemic opening up and reform in investment, trade, finance and innovation. What do you think could be the focus of further opening up for China for the rest of this year?
Well, first thing you have to know is that the current account for Chinese economy has already been fully opened. I think the next step is about the capital account. And we have already seen many highlights this year. For example, the dual counter system and the Hong Kong market for the overseas renminbi. This has been a great move forward for the internationalization for the renminbi. And also in the future, you're going to see more of the funds welcome into China. And the bar and threshold will be lowered. And we will just open up even further for the global capital market for sure. And also, you've seen China has signed more of the agreement of the currency swaps with many trading partner countries. For example, with ASEAN countries, with Russia, with Ukraine, and many others to come. So I think with all these deals have been signed and agreed, and the Chinese opening up, and not only in the trade, but also in the financial opening, will be bigger and wider, and more of the international capital will be welcomed into China. And especially at the end of the year, when Chinese renminbi's exchange rate is stabilized, will be stronger, and more of the capital will like to be fly into China and for more of the opportunities.
Thank you so much for our insights. That's Mr. Chu Chang, Research Fellow of Beijing Foreign Studies University. Now let's get a close look at the equity markets on the Chinese mainland and beyond. Timothy Pope joins us from Shanghai. Tim, after yesterday's strong rally, today it seems both Shanghai and Shenzhen are taking a breather.
Yeah, that's right, Junfeng. The Chinese mainland markets did have a couple of very strong days this week. Today wasn't one of them. The Shanghai Composite Index ended flat, but that obviously did nothing to dent the gains made yesterday, and the index ends the week 1.25% higher. The blue chip CSI 300 ends the week in even better shape, up nearly 2%. The markets are, of course, waiting for Chinese mainland GDP data, which is expected to be released next week, and will give some more clues on the state of the economic recovery, potentially adding to investor hopes of fiscal and monetary stimulus. Today, the PBOC said that it would continue to pull on the monetary policy levers to make sure that there's enough liquidity around to support the recovery. According to one senior PBOC official, we do expect to see further cuts to mechanisms like the required reserve ratio. Tech stocks were definitely leading gains today in Shanghai after the central government's been calling for them to be better supported as growth engines for the economy. We saw software developer NewTouch, the top gainer today, adding 20% on Shanghai's star market. That was while the 5G provider China Unicom was another standout performer, gaining 10%. Junfeng.
Right. What about Hong Kong and Tokyo markets? What's the story there?
Yeah, Hong Kong's markets finished the week in a stronger position as well. The Hang Seng added 0.3% today to finish the week around 5.5% higher, its biggest weekly jump since January. But the index is still playing catch up. It's still down 2.2% for the year so far. Next week is going to be quiet on the earnings front for Hong Kong, but today the market was still unpacking some results that we've seen in the last couple of days. Cathay Pacific shares rose 4.6% today to a 6-month high after the airline predicted record first half profits of 4.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. The reopening of China's borders has resulted in a huge bump in travel demand, according to Cathay, which said it had 7.8 million passengers in the first 6 months of the year, compared to just a little over 300,000 for the same period last year. Also gaining on results was the Hong Kong listing of Uniqlo owner Fast Retailing. It closed 3.8% higher after posting a record third quarter profit and an upbeat forecast based on its recovery of the Chinese mainland business. It's expecting full year profits to come in at 2.7 billion US dollars now. But that didn't save Fast Retailing's Tokyo listing. It did not have a strong finish, giving up early gains to close more than 2% lower as the Japanese market's worried about strong yen and a Bank of Japan meeting later in the month. The Nikkei 225 slipped fractionally today. It had been up by around 1% in the morning. The BOJ's monetary policy meeting doesn't start until July 27, but there's already speculation that it might tweak the ultra-loose monetary policy that's been so noteworthy in Japan in the wake of some stronger wage growth and inflation data. And that pushed the yen higher to another 2-month high against the US dollar, which also helped depress the markets. And this week was one of the best for the yen against the dollar so far this year. That's it from me for today, Junfeng. Back to you in Beijing.
Well, Timothy, it's fascinating to note the divergence of performance of the same stock on different markets, just like fast retailing. Very interesting. Thank you so much, Timothy Pope, for us in Shanghai. Chinese authorities have just released the country's first set of rules on services provided by generative artificial intelligence in order to prevent such problems such as fake news, data leaks, and the infringement of personal information. This interim regulation requires that all generative AI platforms must adopt legal algorithms and cite data from content with legal sources. Other than abiding by cybersecurity laws, the generative AI platforms should also ask for consent once personal information is involved. To protect underage users, AI companies are asked to clarify the application's scenarios and recommended age groups for every service they put out. This new requirement will be effective starting August 15th. Science and technology is widely believed to be the key factor for China's national renaissance. Officials have repeatedly urged increasing support for fundamental disciplines and cutting-edge research. In Beijing, the Jingjingji National Center for Technology Innovation way to just do that. Sun Ye has more.
This thin slab of e-skin is more sensitive to touch than our own skins. The researcher Li Rongfeng says if a mosquito lands on it, it can sense where each of the mosquito's feet lands, something that eludes us humans. Li also says that the development of the e-skin has progressed rapidly in the lab at the Jingjingji National Center of Technology Innovation, benefiting from the favorable conditions for the growth of cutting-edge technology.
Here, we have a complete set of model for technology acceleration. The entire process, from creating original laboratory tech prototypes to developing engineering prototypes and ultimately manufacturing products, is seamless and unified. Coupled with our R&D team, I think we have developed a 50% faster development rate compared to traditional models. Meanwhile, the development of advanced sensors cannot be supported by a single discipline. It requires interdisciplinary communication. Our researchers come from various fields, including materials, electronics, computers, machinery, biology, and more. The multidisciplinary team here ensures our development.
Wang Jixiang, the proud director of the center, says the center aims for disruptive innovation. He says it has what it takes for more such crucial innovation.
Disruptive innovation has very important evolutionary characteristics. The first is that it emerges from a wide range of sources, and the second is that its evolutionary path is highly uncertain. Based on these characteristics, we have established a national network for disruptive technology innovation. Our evaluation model, coaching methods, and approaches for optimization, among others, are quite different from traditional project organization models. In the future, we will cooperate across the Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei regions, including the establishment of a platform and a university R&D center in the university cluster areas of Beijing and Tianjin. This is aimed at achieving original results and disruptive innovation. The second aspect is to select certain cities to build industrial transformation bases, while the third aspect is to cooperate with local enterprises to jointly conduct key technology research and development.
Chinese President Xi Jinping had said this May that it's important to combine the scientific and technological advantages of Beijing and Tianjin's manufacturing prowess to launch more core technologies and drive innovation. Sun Ye, CGTN, Beijing.
You're watching Global Business. Coming up next. ASEAN foreign ministers are meeting in Jakarta to discuss a wide range of issues, including regional security, development, and cooperation.
From the 1,035-kilometer railway linking China to Laos, facilitating connectivity and boosting economic growth in the landlocked Southeast Asian country. To the joint China-Saudi Arabia photovoltaic project to harness renewable energy in the oil-dependent kingdom. The Belt and Road Initiative has come a long way since it was first proposed in 2013, complementing the development strategies of partner countries and building on their existing strength.
开创合作共赢的新模式。
The Belt and Road Initiative, linking the world in the pursuit of common prosperity for humanity.
The meeting of foreign ministers of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations is underway in Jakarta, Indonesia. Foreign ministers and representatives are gathering there for this annual event and its related meetings. For more updates, let's cross to our reporter Roblin Purba in Jakarta. Roblin, what happened throughout the day in the meetings and what are some of the highlights?
Yes, now the minister had dialogues on the ASEAN-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement and further pushing for the trade agreement to happen. And still on trade, we also had China and ASEAN as well pushing ahead with talks on a third version of their own free trade agreement. Now Norway, Indonesia and ASEAN also have met, where previously they met to talk about the renewable energy cooperation on climate change and ocean sustainability and also blue economy. The U.S.-ASEAN talks just